Well, hey there guys, this is Flashback Friday here on Rock Hard Riffs, and in today's video we're going to talk about Ozzy Osbourne, who again I guess is in poor health and had to cancel the tour, unfortunately. And of course the late, great Randy Rhoads. We're going to talk about this classic album, Blizzard of Ozz. Great stuff. Welcome to Rock Hard Riffs. This is the guitar channel for the self-taught. It's Flashback Friday, woohoo! And we're talking today about Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads and the classic album Blizzard of Ozz. Now, I guess the word out is that Ozzy has Parkinson's disease. That's very unfortunate. And also they have canceled their 2020 tour. Not quite sure what exactly all is going on, but of course we wish Ozzy Osbourne and the family all the best. And of course the late great Randy Rhoads. Now he was a guy, to me, that, boy, he was just a huge motivator to me in those days. You know, everybody, in those days it was kind of like so many people were trying to sound like Eddie Van Halen, which is cool, you know, Van Halen's great and all. But Randy Rhoads was a guy that came out with a completely different sound and a completely different style than Eddie Van Halen, and it really grabbed my ear in those days. And I have a couple cool stories. Now, regarding Randy Rhoads, you know, he was a very classical style player. He was also with Quiet Riot and possibly LA Guns or somebody before that, I'm not sure, but I do know Quiet Riot. And, you know, those guys played through LA in that area all the time back then. But as far as his death, it was just such a tragic thing. They were flying around in a private airplane, which they should not have been, and they were buzzing Ozzy's bus, which he was passed out on from drinking. And they had flown around it a few times, and then the last time, which happened to be with Randy and also their makeup artist, Rachel Youngblood. Randy also tried to coax Rudy Sarzo onto going on the flight with him, the bass player, the great Rudy Sarzo. And they were also buzzing Tommy Aldridge. He was, you know, on the same bus with Ozzy. And, of course, the last time around, they didn't make it, and they crashed, and that was just such a tragic, and just, you know, these things when they happen so abruptly, it's always such a shock. Randy was born on December 6th in 1956 in Southern California. And that tragic day was March 19th of 1982. Now again, I remember when this just came out, this album, it was just, to me, it was, I loved Van Halen and all that, but it was Randy Rhoads that just really grabbed my ear for whatever reason. I'm just such a big fan of this album, and this is like one of those albums where there's just isn't a bad song on it. You know, just great stuff. And Randy Rhoads, you hear that classical influence so heavily in this, but also that ultra heavy guitar playing that he was just so famous for. I just absolutely loved what he did. Just a quick side note, a little story, kind of funny. I was with somebody I knew many years ago. This was in 1981. Ozzy had come here to Phoenix, and he was autographing albums and stuff in a Tower Records. Now, this was in the summer, for what I remember, and it would have been blazing hot here. And it was hotter than hell inside the Tower Records because the doors all the way open, and hundreds of people inside it. And no matter how much air conditioning they had, they could not cool the place off. And Ozzy was in there just sweating like a pig. And so this guy I was with at the time and we walk up to him. The person I was with handed them a bootleg Black Sabbath album. This is the only time I saw, the entire time I was there, that Ozzy actually looked at somebody and said something to them. And he looked at the guy I was with and he said, "This is a bootleg." And that was it. And the guy I was with was like, "Yeah, sure is. Yeah, bootleg." And that was our little interaction with Ozzy Osbourne, kind of a trip. But man, that was just a miserable experience otherwise. It was just so incredibly hot. It gets really nasty here in July and August, and from what I remember, that's when it was. But I saw, of course, that tour. What a great concert. Fantastic concert. Randy Rhoads was playing that polka dot black and white Flying V, which was always just such a cool guitar. So again, we wish Ozzy the best, and especially for his family and for his family as well. He's just a big icon in the heavy metal hard rock scene. You know, he had broken ground a couple times, in my opinion. Ozzy did. First, of course, with Black Sabbath, and then again with Randy Rhoads, and just as a single act, Ozzy Osbourne, and especially this album, Blizzard of Ozz. This is just a classic rock album. Period, in my opinion. This is up there with all other great albums like Dark Side of the Moon and stuff like that. I think this is that good. It's up in that arena, right? So like take your top 20. This might fit in that top 20, I think. So alright guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please give us your Ozzy story if you have any. We'd love to hear it. And again, God bless Randy Rhoads. Alright guys, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next video and next Flashback Friday.